What's up, ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? It's Dan here from Cryonoir, and welcome to another video. This is just another time-lapse video of a scene that I've created in Unity. I was using free assets for this. You'll find the link in the description below, and I just decided I was going to do a low poly scene. I've done like I've done a sci-fi scene, and I've also done kind of a semi-realistic sort of forest scene, which, you know, didn't turn out too well, but, you know, these are the very first things I've ever created in Unity, sort of off my own back, just the first time I've ever done any scenes, you know, sort of without instructions, I always say. So this is just me kind of flexing my creative stupidity, and I thought, I'll do like a low poly fantasy scene. Now, I've edited this together quite a lot because there was a lot of work went into this, a lot of time, and if I speeded it up to the point where it will be a reasonable length video, it will be you know, far too fast to watch. And if I keep it at a reasonable speed like this, then it was going to come in at about an hour and a half, 2 hours long, which nobody's going to sit through. And also an awful lot of it is me just placing trees, because I'm not using the terrain editor, because I'm not using the terrain editor. This means I have to place each individual object, so consequently there are lots of trees, so it takes a long time. So here I had a vague idea of what I was going to do with the scene. I wanted to sort of inspired by the front cover of sort of Populous, and also sort of a TV show in the UK called Tiny Planets, where you have like little teeny tiny planets. So I wanted to make kind of these little small floating islands, and I thought it would be nice to have a little campfire on one of them. And yeah, the particle system, I know it's speeded up so it looks crazy, but even like at sort of normal speed though, it is way too fast, and you can see that they're absolutely huge compared to the size of the planet. And again, I don't have a huge amount of experience with the particle system at all in Unity, so this is me just pressing every button on there just to, you know, learn by doing. So eventually I managed to get them down to a reasonable size, but then it was just sort of getting the placement right and all that kind of stuff. So I sort of figured, all right, okay, so I can kind of know how to do that now and get those things where I want them and acting sort of how I want them, and how to edit them to fine-tune them. So I basically just sort of got them in and thought, well, this will be a bit that I come back to once I've got them, the rest of the scene sort of set up. So, you know, this isn't you know, by far, and then it's just back to more trees, lots and lots of trees. You'll see when the final thing is done that, you know, it's definitely a forest planet. And one of the big problems is because of the shape of the environment that we're working on, I can't just copy and paste big chunks of trees, because they all need to be placed individually to get their individual heights correct and in place. So again, and there would be fine where you copied them, but then because of the shape of the landscape, that would then mean that there would be overlapping and they would look a little bit daft. So it was just, you know, constantly copy and paste, try and place them roughly where we want, and then go through and individually set every single one to the right height. So it was, you know, it was a long job. I mean, I started this on Thursday night, I think, and I was finally done. I went to work obviously on Friday, but I started it on Thursday night. I think I put about 4 hours in on Thursday night, and then I was working on it for another 4 or 5 hours last night, getting it all finished off. So total, you know, this would be what you would call sort of a day's work, basically, spread over 2 nights. And yeah, I think it's come out really well by the end of it. I think it looks really good. So lots more trees. I had a slight problem with sort of scale on this, because the assets that I were using didn't appear to be sort of equally scaled for the same scene. So you would bring some things in and they'll be huge, and you bring some things in and they'll be tiny. And as the sort of the trees in this environment, you know, this rock that I was working on, they seem to match this kind of size I wanted to go for. I went for that as like kind of an actual sort of a size, but as you'll see when I bring some of the other assets in, they're immense. So and I also means that all the movement I have around the editor is really fast, and I cover a lot of ground very quickly. So I have a feeling that the assets I'm actually working on are tiny assets, but obviously because the camera's so zoomed in, they look normal size, but I have a feeling that they're actually really small, and that's why I was having problems with the movement around the environment. Now, I decided, because the trees were going to take altogether too long, and, you know, I wanted something of interest, so I decided I was going to kind of create a pathway going up here, sort of just a loose kind of path out of sort of large boulders, just to sort of delineate the route up through the trees. And again, I sort of had a real good idea of what I was going to do with this scene as it kind of... as I sort of, when I started it, I sort of saw the assets and I kind of had an idea, and I was like, oh yeah, that might work. And it was one of those cases where the more I sort of worked on it, more ideas started coming to me, and I just sort of basically was, I was just totally vibing. I was really enjoying this. Like I say, I've spent 8 hours on it, just on without, well, I won't say without break, but without even noticing it. I'm just sort of working away, adding trees, putting rocks down, moving stuff around, and loving every minute of it. I've really enjoyed it. So yeah, we're just still working on here, and I also had these groovy kind of pillars, sort of Stonehenge type things. So I mean, this will come apparent by the end of it, but I wanted to kind of create sort of a kind of a floating walkway from one environment to another, one of the larger spaces to another, with a feature on the other one. I think Matthew Pagil, or whoever it is, has done a very similar thing to this as well, which I thought looked really cool. He did his on Unreal. But yeah, so he was now trying to flesh out that campfire. So I thought, right, We'll add like a sort of a pile of logs being used for the campfire and sort of set it out. And again, I had problems with the camera just moving so fast through here, just because I think the assets I'm using are so small. But yeah, so this is just me building the fire out of logs, little tiny logs, lots of one after the other. Yeah, it was mostly doing this was kind of a break from putting down trees, because there's still so many trees to put down. I was just the trees. I should have maybe thought of something different, but once you sort of committed to the idea, then that was that, and you have to follow it through. So again, I'm just working on this campfire, making a nice little ring of rocks around it, just to sort of section it off. If I'd have had more time, because I wanted to get this done so I could create this video for you today. But yeah, if I'd have had more time, maybe I would have tried to kind of maybe create like a little small sort of dirt, sort of a dark material that I could then like sort of paint underneath the fire or something to make it look like the ground was scorched there, but I don't think you can really tell when it actually gets through to the final thing because of all the other particle effects and everything that's going on. Back to more trees. Just every time I'd like do something and then put more trees down and then go away and do something else and then put more trees down and then go away and do something else and then put more trees down. Just so many trees. I don't even know. Well, you can see on the right hand side we're up to about 250 trees so far, 260 trees. You can see if you look in the hierarchy, you can see there's about 200 trees already, 250 odd trees. I don't know what we get to by the end. I did want to. Oh, we're at 436 trees now. So there's a lot of assets being placed. So this was, again, I used kind of the rocks also as just a way of sort of not putting trees there, and I kind of thought it would be a good idea if we had kind of sort of a solid foundation for the stone pillars, just to make it look as though they hadn't just been plonked there, as though that that this was a sort of a place where they'd chosen to put them. Out of all of the possible places, like there was some sort of firm bedrock here, and this is why whoever built the pillars and whoever built the world or whatever decided to put them there. Well, it was me that put them there, but you know what I mean. If I was to try and create this as a believable environment, more trees, lots more trees. Keep putting down trees. More trees needed. So yeah, but now it was time to sort of try and create a sort of new skybox. I had a load of skyboxes that I believe were free that I'd found. So I'll put like a space skybox on. So it came with about 4 or 5, I think. So I just started playing around with the different skyboxes. This is a cool little nebula one, which looks really good, but I thought it was going to be too light. This one was kind of eroded the whole kind of tiny planet thing when you've got like a great big huge planet there. This one kind of made it look like a hellscape, and I was probably not such a good idea. I did sort of think about the Nebula one, but I think it just looked a little too. It didn't. It just looked like a really kind of fancy sky rather than sort of space. So I didn't use that one in the end, and I just decided to stick for the plain stars. So in keeping with sort of the Game of Thrones that I'm watching in a minute, I thought we'll add a giant castle in the sky, which I believe was a song in the early 2000s. But anyway. So here we go, like adding a castle to the other environment. The big advantage of this, it has two advantages. One, it's a focal point. It's a reason why you would go up to that area if you wanted to. And also, I don't need trees there because there's a castle in the way. So yeah, I decided, to try and even it out. I'm trying to put like a squared off object on a not so squared ground. So I just basically use some of the rocks and cut them out to act again as a foundation. I found these like gate pillar type things, and I thought they would work really well as a portcullis for the castle. So we got those in, got them fitted, and then I thought, alright, okay, so more rocks. Rocks are always good. Rocks are easy to place and take up a lot of space, and make up for trees. So again, I stuck those in front of the main entrance to the castle, so that way we could have some sort of, like I say, some sort of entrance way. And it also had these weird, I don't even know what they look as though they would be maybe used at a port or something, a kind of a medieval port, like a pontoon. So I thought they would work really well as kind of a landing area out the front of the castle. So that's exactly what I did. I used them for those, and whacked a load of rocks underneath it, just again to try and make it look a little more solid. And it was all, obviously this is low poly, it's fantasy, and it's never going to be used by anything, but I still thought, sort of approached it as like, well, what would I, how do I want this to look? What's my feeling about this? What's my vibe, as it were? Another hokey indie developer phrases. So more trees, lots more trees. Where are we up to now? We're at 489 trees, so lots of draw. We're at 525 trees now. So yeah, a lot. Like I say, lots and lots of trees. More trees. I think I must have breached 600 trees instances by the time this was done. Obviously, I have 557 there, and I can still see there's a load more to do. So yeah, these were the floating platforms I wanted to create, just to sort of give it kind of a platformery feel. And again, carrying on the Stonehenge theme, running up to the top there. So we had one of those on each of the platforms, and get them all rotated and positioned and sort of resized so they sort of fit on the platforms. And again, they sort of reminded me a bit of Star Fox as well. The things used to fly under there. I've got a really cool particle effects that I picked up, or some material and mesh effects that I picked up on the sail. I debated turning some of the things into kind of glowing, the Stonehenge things into kind of glowing things, but changed my mind in the end and just decided to just use them on the logs to make them look like they were glowing. And then it was then trying to remember how the particle system worked and getting that whole back in and get that in place and as it should be. And then just played about with some post-processing, and that was about it, really. all in all, I'm really happy with how this has turned out. There is some flickering on some of the lighting objects. Now that's kind of a choice, sort of an artistic choice. Basically, I found another sort of flickering light mesh, which I was using to make the fire sort of flicker on the trees, and it looks as though, and I didn't realise it until I actually came back to sort of review everything afterwards, it looks as though I've made that too large, so the flickering is now affecting the planet all the way over the other way. So that, you know, I should really have reined that in, and but I didn't notice it at the time. It's only reviewing it coming back. But you know, I only had sort of had 2 nights, and I think it was about 1 o'clock in the morning when I got to this stage. So but yeah, all in all, I'm really happy with how this has turned out. I hope you like it as well, obviously. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. I think it looks wicked. So yeah, thank you very much for watching the video, and yeah, I will see you all very soon. I'm still working on my game making journey, so I'm currently doing another tutorial for along there, so I'm sort of doing that for the start of the week, and then at the end I'm just doing level design, which is why that's all that's on this channel at the minute, is just me getting used to Unity, which is it's really good. I'm really enjoying it. I'm loving Unity at the minute, has to be said. So anyway, thank you very much for watching the video. If you did enjoy the video, hit the like, comment and subscribe. It helps the algorithm and it helps the channel and everything, and yeah, thank you very much. Take it easy, guys. See you later. Bye bye.